Hello.
Hello.
Hello, welcome back, Whovian vlog. It
It's
wasn't.
the 1st of October.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the 1st of October.
Yeah.
Because we didn't record on the Sunday as we'd said that we might. Well, we never promised explicitly to do it. Record every Sunday, did we?
No,
not
but-
necessarily.
That is
But we
the
are
schedule.
indeed. Yes. I believe if Jordan, if as you did with the last episode, if you edit it and put it up in a single day, then this episode is going to go up the day before before the next episode airs. But nonetheless, we're here, which is the important thing.
Fashionable to be late.
Yes, quite.
Bit more
exactly.
fashionable.
Well,
Yeah.
a wizard is never early, nor is he late. He's always precisely when he means to me. And I do, in fact, have a magic wand. So,
Well, there we are.
You hear it
That's
here
that.
first.
yes.
First, we're from New York.
Are we?
No, Jordan, don't do that.
No.
I'm sorry.
That was literally the
We've established
most
that
catastrophic accent.
Jordan shouldn't do accents, and I shouldn't tell bad puns.
No.
Yes, I wonder what Ben shouldn't do.
We'll
Play
find
the
out in a
trumpet
minute.
live on air.
Or insult some minor demographic of the British voting public.
Yes.
Yeah.
that would, yes.
I'll
that
probably
would
end
be
up doing
bad.
that at some point, but there we go.
Right, so,
Oh well.
Doctor
Right
Who.
then, what happened in the episode? The Witch is Familiar,
Oh.
episode 2. Chaps, what did you think? What were your thingies, opinions? Stop
Well,
typing.
I need to look at things.
It was.
Okay.
It was a very. Well, first of all, what I quite. I know Milo. The whole death becoming insignificant. We've talked about this, and we don't really like.
We did last week, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it sort of first thing in the episode. Oh, they're not dead after all. Yes, of
No,
course. And then there's
but
a
to be fair,
convoluted and difficult. There was a good explanation.
explanation. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I was
but
going to say. Is that Moffat had lowered our expectations to think that we weren't even going to get an explanation, and then he gave us one, which was a nice
He
surprise.
did give us one, but
I quite liked it as well. It was quite funny, but I agree with you. I think that death has become too insignificant a factor in Doctor
Cheap.
Who. Cheap, yes.
death is cheap.
However,
So I did like. Yeah, no, there were. Yes, it was well done in itself.
it was
Like,
well orchestrated.
Yes, that part of the episode was good in itself, but in the context of everybody keeps dying and not staying dead,
Yes.
I was just a bit, oh, yes, okay, then.
Here we go again. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I have to say I did like that opening sort of scene with Clara and Missy, with Clara hanging
Oh
upside
yeah,
down
she
on
hung
a
upside
tree. I
down.
thought that was quite. Yeah.
Mm,
What?
yes.
Good old.
Why
Missy.
do you have a
Oh,
stick?
Missy's fantastic. I'm sure she'll be coming back.
Yeah,
Why,
why
Yeah.
why do you have a stick in case there's nothing to hunt? Yeah.
Yeah. I have
Although
to
we know from Genesis of the Daleks there is plenty to hunt. There are all sorts of horrible creatures
Yes.
on Skara.
I would have to say actually that although I know we agree that Clara is leaving, and thank God, but I did quite enjoy the interaction between Missy and Clara. But I think it could work equally with any companion, basically any sort of not as intelligent as Time Lord companion, which is all of them.
But,
teaming up-
well, Romana.
apart from Romana, but she
Yes.
is anyone who isn't a Time Lord teaming up with a Time Lord that isn't the Doctor and therefore incredibly sort of mean but in a very nice way. I really like that, and I hope to see more of Missy in the future. And I'd also like to see how the hell she's going to get out of that sticky wicket that she got herself in at the end of the episode when she's surrounded by those
Absolutely,
Daleks.
yeah. Well, she always manages, isn't she? She'll come out on top one way or another, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What I thought was absolutely some of the dialogue, some of all the stuff in it. In principle, the episode had all these sort of fantastic things that we've come to expect.
Yeah.
I was wondering what you thought of Davros and the part of the story with him and all that sort of thing.
Davros.
All the
go on, John,
stuff
you go.
that happened.
Go on, Jordan, you go. Yeah.
Julian Bleach is a wonderful actor.
Oh,
He's absolutely
he's amazing.
wonderful. He's a great
Fantastic.
Davros. It was
Yeah.
really well played by him.
Mm.
Um,
He
was phenomenal.
astounding. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I have to say is that I know in the end inevitably it was always going to be a trap. all of this conversation. But I have to say that was probably one of the that could go down as one of the most fascinating moments in Who history, really, because of just how significant it was. You know, the Doctor and Davros,
his worst enemy. His
worst enemy being, you know, that close and being realizing that they are very similar. And I think even though it was a trap, I think a lot of it was actually quite truthful in a sense. Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, exactly. Just because the end purpose was that it was a trap, it doesn't mean the conversation was all lies. None of it was genuine, you know.
Yeah.
What confuses me is that the 11th Doctor. This is just a plot point that sort of I think is a little bit out. The 11th Doctor, when he healed River Song's broken arm.
Yeah.
He was able to just put his hands directly on her and heal her, whereas I don't know why the 12th Doctor decided to grab onto the cables and sort of put his energy into the chair. Surely he could have just laid hands on Davros himself.
I think it was just essential for the plot that he did it that way.
Yeah,
really.
I know. Yeah. But, yes, obviously it was.
I think the reason, actually, in terms of, I was just thinking about why would he do that, because of course that would mean that he would also apply all that to the Daleks, because we know that those wires are connected directly to the Daleks. But of course the reason why he did that was because he knew all along that it was a trap, and he was trying to get the sewer Daleks to, you know, rise up against their sort of above water counterparts. So suppose, you know, initially you can question it and then realise that the Doctor is all-seeing and all-knowing, and if someone's double bluffing him, then he's going to double bluff them back, which is quite interesting.
It's a great system.
It is. I have to say, actually, whilst everybody's been saying about Julian Bleach and how fantastic it was, and every credit's deserved there, but can I just say that this was Peter Capaldi's finest showing, in my opinion, for his very short tenure. But I just thought he was amazing. I mean, I sat down. Did you watch on Sunday after the episode? They had a double bill with the first two episodes back to back in a sort of 90-minute special. And I was sitting in the kitchen and I was watching it, and I thought I'd just jot down a couple of quotes. So my favourite one is when he comes in Davros's chair and he says, "Admit it, you've all had this exact nightmare." And I'm just like, oh my god, this is amazing.
It's fantastic. Yeah,
and
as well, the things that happen in this episode, in this sort of two-parter, are things that haven't happened really to this Doctor before, because he thinks Clara's dead. He thinks, you know, he's lost all hope. So the ways that we see him. The situations that he's been put in are kind of, this is the first time we've seen him do that, and it was absolutely fantastic. I would like to point out one of my favourite lines, just for the humour of it, is he wakes up and Davros is saying, "You must feel very fortunate," and the Doctor is going, "What on earth are you talking about?" And then he goes, "That is the only chair on Skaro."
Yeah, I thought
it's the only other chair.
The everlasting joke. I don't know if either of you have ever seen. There was a comic relief special while Doctor Who on the hiatus between classic Who and modern Who.
Oh yeah, is that the one, the
Curse of Fatal Death? It's kind of Curse of Fatal Death. It had Rowan Atkinson and
that one. Yes.
Richard E. Grant. And there's a bit where they get tied to they're on a Dalek. They get captured by the Daleks and they get tied to chairs. Yeah. And somebody says, "Why are there chairs on a Dalek spaceship anyway?"
Yeah.
And the Daleks are just like, "We will explain later."
And they did.
Well, not
they
really,
didn't.
But
the episode ended, so who knows?
This two-parter on the 27th of September, the day after the episode's broadcast, was actually broadcast on BBC One and BBC One HD as one single feature-length episode.
There we are. I hope they do that for all of the two-parters, because that's quite a nice idea.
Yeah. Next two episodes, 3 and 4 is the two-parter.
And 5 and 6, and 7 and 8, and 11 and 12. The only two that aren't are 9 and 10.
Bloody hell.
Ooh. I know. We're getting. It's like Christmas has come early. We're just getting like all these really long, good stories.
I think that's really good. That's a classic Who. There used to be at least 5 episodes in a story.
Yeah.
I think, having 2 parts is really good because it gets you really invested in. And if you see the first part, you have to then see the second part.
Yeah, and actually Moffat has said that perhaps the I can't quite remember how it works. It's either the 10th episode can be counted as almost as if it's a 3-part with 11 and 12, or 11, 12, and the Christmas special. So we're even almost getting...
No, it is. It's 10. It's 10. 10, 11, 12. No, maybe it's... Is it not 11, 12, 13?
Well, no, but 13 is the Christmas special.
Oh, sorry, no, it's
I'll
10,
check.
which is... 10, which is technically a standalone episode, but it flows straight into the 2-parter. So
10 is the one that doesn't have the Doctor in it, and 11 is the one that only has the Doctor in it. If I'm right, I think. Yes, it is. Yeah. And I think these next 2 is the sort of ghost underwater thing.
It's fantastic. There's I don't know about you two, but I subscribe to Doctor Who magazine. Price threepence at your local newsagent. And they have a little feature in it, and they talk about because it's a monthly thing, so they talk about some of the upcoming episodes and some of the people, like if there's new writers.
Yeah.
Excuse me. If there's writers who haven't written for Doctor Who before, they kind of talk about them a bit. And the next 2 episodes, it's Under the Lake and Before the Flood, they're called. They had a quote of the episode, and the Doctor says, "So tell me, what are those things out there?" And this guy says to him, "Well, they're ghosts." And the Doctor says, "No, they're not ghosts, and I'll tell you why, because we're not 9 years old." So
I've got one.
Biting wit,
I've got one thing, right?
Yeah.
A, how did the Doctor get control of Davros's chair? And B, manage to fit in it?
Because Davros doesn't have legs, as we see when he's on the floor.
Yeah,
he doesn't have legs. He just plugs into it. So
exactly.
I don't know. That's a very good question, which I very much doubt there's an answer to, because
he's the Doctor. That's the answer. The answer is he's the Doctor.
It's hardly like as if he can threaten Davros, or Davros can just get out. I mean, he hasn't got any legs.
Yeah.
So, all right, then.
But also, if he's got no legs, there's no leg room in the chair. So he must have been kind of squatting or something. I don't know.
Must have.
Magic.
Using his Scottish magic.
I think that is a very good question. However, I don't think it's particularly answerable. But there we go.
Yes, exactly. Well, now that we're done picking potholes in it, the conclusion, should we talk about Clara and Missy's betrayal and all that sort of thing?
Oh yes, I did. Yes, I did like that very much.
Who was it who pointed out somebody? Oh no, my friend Emily. Yeah. Shout out to Emily if you happen to be listening. I'm sure you will, because I'll make you listen, because now I've mentioned you in it, you have to listen to it. Anyway, my friend Emily sent me a message saying, am I the only one who's bothered by the fact that specific mention was made to when Clara got plugged into the Dalek casing? Missy made specific mention of Clara said, "What happens when those prongs, what happens when they come out?" And Missy said, so I don't know, I don't particularly care. And then later on, when the casing opens and it's revealed to be Clara and Missy swans off, we don't see Clara being extracted from the case, and we don't see sort of big red marks on her temples. So I wonder.
Yeah, actually, because we don't know how they come off. So maybe there's something there. I have to say that in reference to that scene, it was a very less than subtle nod back to Asylum of the Daleks, which was, if you remember, when the Doctor confronted Oswin when she was a Dalek, and she couldn't say her name was Oswin, and she kept on saying, "I am a Dalek," and the same thing happened. And I just thought that was such a... I quite liked that. That was a nice little nod back to...
it's probably
but also
because she was locked in that casing for so long.
Yeah, exactly.
She
but
was
actually,
conditioned.
Yeah, she's been conditioned in the Asylum of the Daleks.
Daleks, yeah.
It's interesting. But also it's kind of a grim nod in a way. But I imagine, and also the fact that the Dalek can say mercy it's a nod to the Big Bang, isn't it? Matt Smith's first ever finale when the Dalek begs River Song for mercy.
It's also in Genesis of the Daleks as well, isn't it?
Is it?
I don't know. My word. I don't think the whole point, the whole story of Genesis and the Daleks is that you don't really see the Daleks in force until kind of getting towards the end. But I don't think in Genesis, I don't think they're ever in any position to make the Daleks beg for mercy. I think the only time he has the Daleks by the throat is when he's about to kind of destroy all the mutants that haven't been given shells yet, and thus prevent the Daleks from ever happening. And that's the whole, the now famous scene where he goes, if I kill all the Daleks now, I'm just as bad as them, and all that kind of thing.
I think,
but yes.
What are we talking about? Yeah, the mercy thing, I basically Moffat sort of concluding why the Dalek asked for mercy, but I think also is the someone was suggesting the possibility that what happens now that the Doctor has saved Davros. I think it was on the Radio Times, and they were saying, well, does this mean that the Davros doesn't create the Daleks? I was thinking, well, no, that's not what it means. I think
No.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was like, no, it doesn't. What it means is that the Doctor saves Davros, and that in doing so gives Davros the idea for the Daleks, because he says exterminate and then exterminates all of the landmines around him. So at some point in his future, it sort of returns to him.
Absolutely. And also, I don't know if we see the Doctor take his screwdriver back from young Davros.
No, but
I don't think that happens. Well,
but apparently he is having a screwdriver this year. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think he didn't carry the screwdriver out of shame for the fact that he abandoned this poor child. But whether or not what order it happens in doesn't make a huge amount of difference. But the where was I going? Oh yes. If young Davros is left with the screwdriver, surely that means it's advanced technology that he can would perhaps inspire him to become a scientist and all that sort of.
Yeah.
And
John,
then
were you going to say
I know it's in. I know it's in Doctor Who kind of tie-in material. It's in the sort of the mythology of Doctor Who that he is kind of crippled in a shelling or a bombing of somewhere, and and he's just determined to survive. Sorry, Jordan, go for it.
It's not the first time that Missy or the Master and the Daleks have been seen together, but it's the first encounter between Missy and Davros.
Yeah, that is true.
Absolutely.
That is, I think, and to be honest,
the Master generally and Davros, but absolutely.
Yeah, but what I find quite interesting about it is it's sort of so nice to meet you, and then she pokes him in the eye. I mean, that is the only way that the two greatest supervillains in the history of Doctor Who could ever meet, isn't it? Really?
Because at the end of the day, other than the sort of the laughing and the sort of friendly banter that they had in this episode, Davros is, really. For want of a better word, I can't phrase it any better than strict. He's really uptight and he's really serious. Whereas the Master, exactly. He's like this. You can imagine him before his accident. You can imagine him because he was in the military. And I don't know if either of you have ever read somebody. I think Richard somebody or somebody like that did a comic strip which had loads of Doctor Who characters in it, and one of the panels had an artist's impression of Davros before he'd been injured, and he's got kind of the similar sort of features, but he's he's got hair and he can stand on his legs and things like that.
Yeah.
But the point is, you can kind of imagine that Davros, in his kind of military uniform, all crisp and all, drill sergeant Davros, He's a very serious sort of person. Every time we've met him in Doctor Who, in Classic Who, and indeed in the David Tennant era, he's been this kind of yelling, megalomaniac kind of character.
Yeah. But this time he was really quite toned down, wasn't he?
Exactly. This time he was toned down a fair bit in a couple of the scenes. It was a more human side of him. But what's interesting is you kind of if you have him meeting the Master, Missy, whatever, who is a very, very silly, has often been, blurs the line between friend and nemesis. They're and indeed Missy is an exceptionally silly character. She is very, very silly. So so having those two meet, the only way it was going to go down was that Missy rather like the Doctor. I think those two, because they're sort of renegade Time Lords, they have this kind of stick two fingers up to authority sort of attitude.
Yeah, they do.
Even if one of them is kind of more on the side of good and one is more on the side of evil, even if they kind of either way, they are both, they are both kind of anti-establishment sort of characters.
But they're also they're both basically the same. It's just the
pretty much, but one has a conscience. That's the line.
Yeah. They're both Scottish. They're even both Scottish now. I mean, that's the best thing. But I have to say that it was a sort of. The Missy's just every scene she was in, her total dominance of every scene she was
Absolutely, yeah.
was sort of, I love the bit when it's sort of about the, I wonder how far down it is, maybe we should drop a stone or something. Yeah, sure. She pushes Clara and she goes 20 feet, and I'm just like, that is. And
it immediately cuts. That is the perfect. That's just perfect.
Yeah.
20 feet and then just cut to the other scene. Yeah. I'm just like,
you couldn't write Missy better than that.
No, it's absolutely spot on. I think, honestly, we complained a lot about the writing last year. I think these first two have been absolutely flawless. Was this a Moffat? This was a Moffat, wasn't it?
This was written by Moffat.
It's spot on. And that's why I stand by what I said before, that I don't think he should... Well, we'll judge it on this series. I do think he's kind of had his time, but I think he should absolutely keep writing episodes just because of look at what he can do, particularly with Missy. Missy's fantastic.
The thing is, this season opener was, I think, better than last year's season finale, which is weird because the season finale should technically be the best episode of the season.
The season opener and the finale should be really good.
Yeah. So he's got a lot to live up to at the end of the series.
Absolutely. The ending, I think we all agreed last year that the ending was pretty weak at the end of the year.
Was it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that we did.
We did, because, after Christmas, by Christmas, we agreed that it was pretty weak because there was so much unresolved at the end of the season that wasn't tied up at Christmas. So we just went, it was
I enjoyed the season finale. I think.
I enjoyed the finale as a self-contained episode, but as a finale episode, it didn't strike me as being ideal.
That's fair enough.
Fulfilling any of the needs. But regardless, that was last year. This is this year.
I think that the whole story, I mean, the thing is, we've got a lot left to be resolved from this, actually, because the whole thing about the Doctor and his death wish, the thing is that the Doctor said that the reason why he went to see Davros was because he asked, so he came. So he's not going out of guilt or out of a debt to be paid before he dies. So the question is why does the Doctor, what is this thing about the Doctor going to die? It's a bit of an old trick.
He believes he's going to die. And honestly, that's worrying, as Clara pointed out. If he thinks he's going to lose, it might go quite wrong.
Although the only thing I would say is that the annoying thing is that we have seen this recently with the whole 11th Doctor Trenzalore thing, and I am a little bit worried that Moffat's recycling stuff a bit too quickly. But it all depends on how well he goes about it. If we can find out what is on that time dial thing. I mean, for once, please, show us, for God's sake.
Absolutely,
because that will make it all worth it. But other than that, I think I think we'll have to wait and see. For all we know, Missy could be back for the season finale. She may be back. We don't know. You never know. We're not really sure what's happening. We've heard rumours about this degeneration scene with lots of different Doctors. I don't know if you've heard about this.
Oh yes, we're going to see him when he goes off to appear in the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, and apparently there's been rumours of Paul McGann being on set and
Oh,
Tennant being
yes,
on set.
McGann! Ah, my favourite!
There's been rumours that that there's a scene where the Doctor goes back through all his regenerations, and David Tennant's been seen in Cardiff, so they reckon he will have filmed scenes, that McGann has filmed scenes, and then that the rest of them will be done using CGI, which will be quite interesting.
Yeah, could do, yeah.
So that because Moffat has said that there is a very big cliffhanger at the end of episode 11. That could be it. I'm kind of hoping it isn't, not because I don't want to see that, but because I like to be surprised, and I hope that there's something else that happens that isn't
if he degenerates back to sort of a young Doctor, not even a William Hartnell, like a young first incarnation, well, we'll see the original face of the Doctor, won't we? I imagine what they'll have to do for that is look at what William Hartnell was like when he was young and cast based on that. But that's all speculation. Yes,
go on. Yeah.
Oh no, you go first.
I was going to say that there was another even wilder rumour, which I don't even believe. Did I mention this about this 13th Doctor thing?
No.
In the Christmas special, someone has said, this is a ridiculous rumour, I don't believe it for a second, that apparently the Doctor is going to meet his next incarnation, 13th Doctor, and that
I, for one, don't believe that on the grounds that they wouldn't show him. Peter Capaldi's only been here for 2 years.
Well, no,
I don't think they'd show the next one. And if it turns out just to be somebody who isn't actually the Doctor, if that does happen, we've had that before. Don't reuse it. That was David Tennant meeting whoever he was.
The rumour is apparently that he meets his next incarnation, and that Peter Capaldi does the next series, season 10, and then actually regenerates.
That could be done kind of well
I don't believe
they would appear. I don't believe the next Doctor would appear, but I think maybe the Doctor could kind of acknowledge a sort of a stranger in the shadows and go, and then kind of like, and have that done sort of subtly, and then it is intended, and we later find out that it's when the next Doctor comes, we find out it was him.
Yeah, but I hope that it isn't true. Principally because I want Peter to stay for more than the next season, because he is doing a very, very good job. And
absolutely,
he's getting better.
His first season was a little shaky, I thought, but absolutely, this based on these 2 episodes.
I mean, his acting last year
brilliant.
Was
his acting has been phenomenal. The season last season was blah blah blah. We've had all that. Chaps, this is the first 2-parter of the year. I feel that with 2-parters, we should rate them as a joint rather than as a thing. So for this double, I think it's going to score quite highly based on what we've said tonight.
Yeah. What are we rating on? Plots?
We do plot, we do the writing, we do the acting, and then we do a kind of combined overall for how it was pulled off and how it all came together and things.
Yeah. Okay, so can I go first?
Absolutely.
I'm going to go on a limb here and say that the acting actually deserves a full 10 out of 10, because quite frankly, I have no bones to pick with any of the actors. It was a smorgasbord of excellence from everybody involved. Even Clara, for once, Clara was put in her place, and as a result, and I think that Jenna Coleman did play her very well, and I think that Julian Bleach was amazing. I want to see more of him. I think Misty was very good. Michelle Gomez, fantastic comeback, and Peter Capaldi, thank you, and please stay. In terms of the writing, I would give that a strong 9, because, I wouldn't say it was perfect. There's still a couple of things that are left unresolved and perhaps things that could be improved, but the story itself has good premise, and we get to see lots of classic Daleks. I think that's fantastic. So I will give this overall a 9, even a 9.5 out of 10. One of the best openers to the seasons I have, I think, ever seen, actually, to be honest.
Wow. High praise indeed. If anybody who works on Doctor Who is listening, you have done well. Ben Richards thinks you've done well. Yeah.
This episode is Ben approved.
The Richards-Bach seal of approval.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to do well. I'm going to have to concur with you. This season is very boring because we all agree about everything. Let's have some quickly. Let's have some like tensions later in the season, as I think it's amazing and Jordan thinks it's crap.
I hope so.
Yeah, Ben's somewhere in the middle. No, we'll see what happens. I'm going to go the same. Absolutely, the acting flawless. Julian Bleach as Davros, Peter Capaldi, Michelle Gomez. and Jenna, just all of everybody played their parts wonderfully. It all went very well together. Even that Snake chap, he was played very well.
Oh, yeah.
He was played by Jamie Reed Quarrell.
Thank you. Jamie Reed Quarrell as the hissing sycophant was absolutely marvellous. So obviously the acting is phenomenal. And I'm absolutely 10 out of 10. The story, I'm gonna go 9, possibly 8.5. Because yes, I have my reservations, but I think it all, for once, the episode didn't have, and this is a common complaint of Moffat's tenure as the showrunner. It didn't have any plot holes. It didn't any great plot holes. It didn't have any rewriting of the show's established canon.
Yeah. Which it could have nearly done.
Yeah, and there weren't any sort of unexplainable or timey-wimey. We've just created a paradox, but everything's fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes when Moffat rewrites what's already been done in the show, it's done in such a way that it's good and it actually works, like in the 50th. And sometimes it's just nonsensical, and I kind of get quite irritated with it. But this show this two-parter didn't do that at all. It was very good. Couple of bits. It was a fantastic, strong opener. So absolutely, I think an overall mark would have to be a sort of 9.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
John?
It's on to me.
Go on, Mock.
Right, I'm gonna agree with actually both of you. But I'm gonna add my
How depressing.
I'm gonna add my own scoring for production.
Go on then. Oh yes. Our resident technophobe here, Mr. Mock.
Technophobe?
How it was made.
No, not technophobe. That's the
Technophile.
Technophile. That's the
He's in charge of everything. Who's being shouted at?
Not me.
I'm being shouted at.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Ooh,
Quickly, before you get shouted at even more, tell us what the production value was.
I'm giving it about an 8.
Right. Got. Care to explain?
The only issue I have with it is that there's one scene where a reflection in the Sonic sunglasses where you can see a camera.
Just not good enough.
No.
So
Jordan has high standards, so that takes it right down.
That's a rookie mistake.
Even I mean, Star Wars did that, but they could be excused because the entire guy was reflective. So Doctor Who, come on, Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going about 9.5.
There we are.
Overall mark, good. Well, I feel Jordan may be too busy to say goodbye.
He's still here.
Yay!
He's still here. Yay! Quickly, let's all say goodbye. Thank you very much for joining us. We will be back possibly Sunday or Monday. But until next time, everybody take care. Watch Doctor Who, episode 3, Under the Lake.
Yeah.
Do watch that because it's going to be fantastic. And all of you take care. And please come back next time because we're going to still be here. I have no idea why... What are we doing this for? I've got A-levels to work on, but never mind. We love Doctor Who and we love making this program for you. So thank you very much for joining the Whovian vlog. I've been Milo Moran. I'm not anymore.
I've been Ben Richards.
And I've been Jordan Mock. Been shouted at a lot.
Bye.
Bye.